What if I told you that your body sends you warning signs weeks before a stroke, and most people ignore every single one of them? Margaret was 68, a retired school teacher in Ohio. 4 weeks before her stroke, she started getting brief dizzy spells whenever she stood up. She thought nothing of it. Then one morning, her right hand went numb for about 10 minutes while she was making coffee. It came back, so she figured she'd slept on it wrong. 2 weeks later, her right eye went blurry for a moment while she was reading. She made a mental note to get her glasses checked. Then one afternoon, she was on the phone with her daughter, and mid-sentence, her words stopped. Her daughter heard the phone hit the floor. The paramedics arrived, but it was too late for the clot-dissolving medication to work. Margaret survived, but she lost her ability to speak and the use of her entire right side. She now needs round-the-clock care. Robert was 71, a retired engineer in Texas. He started feeling something odd, a slight numbness on one side of his face, lasting a few minutes, then gone. His wife had watched a medical video online the week before. She looked at him and said, "I don't like this. We're going to the doctor." They found his carotid artery was 80% blocked. He had a stent placed that same week. No stroke, no disability. Robert still plays with his grandchildren every weekend. The difference between Margaret and Robert wasn't luck. It wasn't genetics. It was knowledge. Margaret's body tried to warn her 4 separate times. She didn't know what those warnings meant. After this video, Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. Your body warned you before a stroke. Most people just don't hear it. Now, before I go through the 4 warning signs, I need you to understand something that most people get wrong. And it could be the most important thing you learn today. Most people believe a stroke comes out of nowhere. One moment you're fine, the next moment your life changes forever. But that's not how it usually works. In many cases, far more than people realize, your body tries to warn you days, even weeks, before a major stroke happens. The problem is, almost nobody recognizes those warnings for what they are. There's a medical term for this. It's called a TIA, a transient ischemic attack. Some doctors call it a mini-stroke. What happens is a small blood clot temporarily blocks an artery in your brain, just like a full stroke. You get the same symptoms. Maybe your hand goes numb, maybe your words come out wrong, maybe your vision gets blurry in one eye. But here's the part that fools people. It goes away. Usually within a few minutes, sometimes an hour, and because it goes away, you tell yourself it was nothing. You move on with your day. That is the most dangerous mistake you can make. A TIA is not nothing. A TIA is your brain's fire alarm. It's telling you that a clot formed, traveled to your brain, and temporarily cut off blood flow to a part of your brain. The clot dissolved on its own this time. But the condition that created that clot, whether it's a narrowed artery, an irregular heartbeat, or a buildup of plaque, that condition is still there and it's getting ready to send another clot. One that might not dissolve. Research tells us that roughly 1 in 3 people who have a TIA and don't get treated will go on to have a full stroke. And for many of them, it happens within days, not months, not years. Days. Think of it this way. Imagine you're sitting in your living room and you smell smoke. You look around, you don't see a fire, and after a minute, the smell goes away. What would you do? Would you just go back to watching television, or would you get up and check every room in the house? A TIA is that smell of smoke. The fire hasn't started yet, but something is burning behind the walls. So here's what I need you to take away from this. If you experience any sudden neurological symptom, numbness, weakness, trouble speaking, vision changes, dizziness, even if it only lasts 2 minutes and goes away completely, do not wait. Call your doctor that same day, or go to the emergency room. That brief episode might be the only warning you get, and acting on it could be the difference between prevention and catastrophe. Now let me walk you through the specific warnings your body sends, starting with the one that almost everyone over 60 has felt at least once and brushed off as nothing. Warning sign number 1, Sudden numbness or weakness, especially on one side. The first warning sign, and the one I see missed most often in my practice, is sudden numbness or weakness, especially when it only affects one side of your body. Now I know what you're thinking. You're over 60. Your hands get stiff in the morning. Your knee aches when it rains. You wake up and your arm is tingling because you slept on it funny. That's normal wear and tear. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is different. It comes out of nowhere. You're eating breakfast and suddenly your left hand feels dead. You can't grip your coffee cup. Or you're walking to the mailbox and your right leg gives out, not because you tripped, but because the muscles simply stopped responding. Or one side of your face feels heavy, like it's sliding downward and you can't control it. There's no reason for it, no injury, no awkward position, it just happens. Here's why it hits one side. Your brain is divided into two hemispheres. The left hemisphere controls the right side of your body. The right hemisphere controls the left side. When a clot blocks blood flow to one hemisphere, only the opposite side of your body loses function. That's the signature of a stroke. It's asymmetric. One side works, the other side doesn't. And here's the part that gets people into real trouble. If it's a TIA, that mini stroke I just told you about, the numbness or weakness might last only a few minutes, then vanish completely. Your hand works again, your leg feels fine, your face looks normal in the mirror, so you convince yourself it was nothing. Maybe a pinched nerve, maybe poor circulation. You don't tell anyone, you don't call your doctor. I had a patient, a 70-year-old retired mechanic, sharp as a tack, who felt his left hand go completely numb for about 5 minutes one morning while he was eating cereal. He shook it off, went about his day. 3 days later, his wife found him on the kitchen floor, unable to move the entire left side of his body. That 5 minutes at the breakfast table was his warning. His body was screaming at him. He thought it was whispering. Here's a simple test you can do right now. Hold both arms straight out in front of you, palms up, and close your eyes. Count to 10. If one arm drifts downward on its own, that's called pronator drift, and it's a sign of weakness on that side. If that ever happens suddenly, eyes open or closed, don't wait. Call 911. But numbness and weakness are things you can feel yourself. The next warning sign is far more deceptive, because the very part of your brain that's supposed to catch it is the part that's failing. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Now let's move on to point number 2. Warning sign number 2. Sudden trouble speaking or understanding. This second warning sign is the one that frightens me most as a doctor. Not because it's the most dangerous, but because the person experiencing it often has no idea anything is wrong. When a stroke or a TIA affects the language centers of your brain, one of two things happens. Either you lose the ability to get your words out, you know exactly what you want to say, but when you open your mouth, the wrong words come out, or no words come out at all. Or you lose the ability to understand what other people are saying to you. You hear their voice, you see their lips moving, but the sounds don't become meaning. It's like someone suddenly switched the language to one you've never heard before. The language centers of your brain sit mostly in your left hemisphere, two areas called Broca's area and Wernicke's area. Broca's handles producing speech. Wernicke's handles comprehending it. When blood flow to either area gets interrupted, language breaks down, and it can happen in an instant. But here's what makes this warning sign so treacherous. Your brain is both the organ being damaged and the organ you rely on to detect that something is wrong. Think of it like this. If your leg is broken, your brain tells you something is wrong because it feels the pain. But when your brain itself is malfunctioning, who tells you? Often nobody, because the monitoring system is the thing that's broken. I had a patient, a 68-year-old woman, a former school teacher, who called her son one evening to talk about weekend plans. Halfway through the conversation, her son noticed she was using wrong words, calling the refrigerator the book, saying tomorrow when she meant yesterday. He asked if she was okay. She said she felt perfectly fine. She had no idea she wasn't making sense. He drove to her house immediately and took her to the emergency room. She was having a TIA. They found a narrowed carotid artery and treated it before a full stroke could happen. Her son's instinct saved her. This is why I tell every patient the same thing. A stroke is not just your emergency, it's your family's emergency. You might not hear your own slurred speech, but your spouse will. Your child on the phone will. Your neighbor across the table will. So teach the people around you this simple test. Ask the person to repeat one sentence, "The sky is blue today." If they slur, stumble, use wrong words, or look confused by the request, call 911. Don't wait to see if it passes. And after you watch this video, call someone you love and tell them this: "If I ever sound strange to you, don't ask me if I'm fine, just come." Now, the next warning sign doesn't involve anything you feel or say. It involves something you see, or rather something you suddenly can't see. Warning sign number 3, sudden vision problems. This third warning sign is the one that slips past more people than any other. Because when your vision changes after 60, your first thought is never stroke. Your first thought is, "I need new glasses." But there is a critical difference between your eyes aging and your brain losing blood flow. And if you don't know that difference, you could miss the one warning that might have saved everything. When a stroke or TIA affects the visual processing area of your brain, a region called the occipital lobe, which sits at the very back of your skull, your vision can fail even though your eyes are perfectly healthy. Your eyes are still capturing the image. They're sending the signal. But the part of your brain that's supposed to receive and interpret that signal has gone dark. The camera works fine. The screen is broken. Here's what that can look like in real life. You might suddenly lose vision in one eye, like a curtain dropping over half the world. You might see double, where one face becomes two overlapping faces. Or you might lose an entire half of your visual field. You look straight ahead, but everything on the left side or the right side simply vanishes. This is called hemianopia, and it's more common during a stroke than most people realize. Now, how do you tell the difference between a vision problem from aging and a vision problem from your brain? 3 things. Speed. Age-related changes happen gradually over months or years. A stroke-related vision change hits you in seconds. Symmetry. Aging usually affects both eyes similarly. A stroke often affects one eye or one side of your field of vision. And response to correction. If new glasses fix it, it's your eyes. If glasses don't change anything, it's your brain. One of my patients, a 66-year-old woman, was reading a bedtime story to her granddaughter one evening. Halfway through the page, the right half of the text disappeared. She could see the left side clearly, but the right side was simply gone, like someone had erased it. She blinked a few times and it came back. She kissed her granddaughter goodnight and never mentioned it to anyone. She thought maybe she was just tired. 2 weeks later, she had a major stroke that took her vision in that same field permanently. The warning was there. She just didn't know it was a warning. Here's something you can do right now. Cover one eye. Look at a fixed point across the room. Notice whether any area seems dark, blurry, or missing. Then switch eyes and do the same. If you ever notice anything abnormal, even for a few seconds, this is not a make an appointment next month situation. This is an emergency room today situation. Now, the fourth and final warning sign involves something that almost everyone has experienced and almost everyone has handled the wrong way. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Now let's keep going with point number 4. Warning sign number 4. Sudden severe headache plus dizziness/loss of balance. If I could only teach you one sentence today that might save your life, it would be this: the worst headache of your life is a medical emergency, not a nuisance, not something you push through, an emergency. Most headaches are harmless. You've had hundreds of them. You know what your headaches feel like: the dull pressure after a long day, the tension across your forehead when you're stressed, the sinus ache when the weather changes. Your body has a baseline for headache pain, and over 60 years you've learned it well. A stroke headache is nothing like that baseline. Doctors call it a thunderclap headache because it strikes like lightning. It reaches maximum intensity within seconds. Not minutes, seconds. Patients who've survived it tell me the same thing. "Doctor, I thought something exploded inside my head." That description is closer to the truth than they realize. In many cases, something did. A weakened blood vessel or an aneurysm in the brain ruptured and blood is now flooding into the surrounding tissue. That's a hemorrhagic stroke, and it's the most immediately life-threatening type. Here's the analogy I use with my patients. An ischemic stroke, the kind caused by a clot, is like a clogged pipe. The water stops flowing and everything downstream dries out. A hemorrhagic stroke is like a burst pipe. The water doesn't just stop where it should go, it floods the walls, the floor, everything around it. Both are emergencies. But a burst pipe can destroy the entire house. Now add dizziness and loss of balance to that headache, sudden vertigo where the room is spinning, where you can't walk a straight line, where you reach for the counter because you feel like the floor is tilting beneath you. That combination can signal a cerebellar stroke, a stroke in the part of your brain that controls coordination and balance. It's less well known, but it's extremely dangerous and frequently mistaken for an inner ear problem or low blood pressure. I had a patient, a 69-year-old man, who was up late working on his taxes when a headache hit him so hard he grabbed his head with both hands. He told his wife he just needed an aspirin and some sleep. She didn't listen. She called 911. The paramedics found a ruptured aneurysm. He spent 11 days in the ICU. When he finally woke up, the first thing he said to his wife was, "Thank God you didn't listen to me." So here's your rule. The worst headache of your life, one that is sudden, explosive, and unlike anything you've felt before, means call 911. No aspirin first, no lying down to see if it passes, no waiting until morning. Pick up the phone. Now you know all 4 warning signs, but knowing them in a calm moment and remembering them when panic hits are 2 very different things. So let me give you a tool. 6 letters that can hold all of this together when it matters most. The Be Fast tool, your 60-second stroke test. When a stroke is happening, whether it's happening to you or to someone you love, your heart is pounding, your hands are shaking, and every piece of medical knowledge you've ever learned scatters like papers in the wind. That's why you need something so simple, so short, that you can remember it even when fear is doing everything it can to shut your brain down. 2 words, 6 letters, Be Fast. B is for balance. Is the person suddenly losing their balance? Are they stumbling, leaning to one side, unable to stand steady? That's your first red flag. E is for eyes. Is their vision suddenly off, blurred, doubled, or gone in one eye? Ask them. They might not volunteer it. F is for face. Ask them to smile. Look carefully. Does one side of the face droop while the other side moves normally? A lopsided smile during a stroke is one of the most recognizable signs in all of medicine, and one of the easiest for a non-doctor to spot. A is for arms. Ask them to raise both arms straight out and hold them there. If one arm drifts downward or they can't raise it at all, blood flow to one side of the brain has been compromised. S is for speech. Ask them to repeat a simple sentence, something like, "The sky is blue today." If the words come out slurred, jumbled, or if they stare at you blankly like you're speaking a foreign language, you have your answer. T is for time, and this is the letter that matters most. If you see any one of those signs, not all of them, any one, you call 911 immediately. You don't drive them to the hospital yourself. You call 911 because the paramedics can begin assessment on the way and take them directly to a certified stroke center, not just the nearest emergency room. Here's why time matters in numbers. The clot-dissolving medication called TPA works best within 3 to 4.5 hours from when symptoms start. A procedure called a thrombectomy, where doctors physically pull the clot out, may extend that window in some cases. But every single minute without treatment, nearly 2 million neurons die. 2 million per minute. That is why doctors say time is brain. It's not a slogan, it's biology. So here's what I want you to do right now. After this video, write "Be Fast" on a piece of paper and stick it on your refrigerator. Then call one person, your son, your daughter, your neighbor, whoever would be with you in an emergency, and teach it to them. Because if a stroke happens to you, you might not be the one who makes that call. They will. And what they know in that moment will determine what your life looks like afterward. Your knowledge is someone else's survival. Important warning. Now, before I let you go, there are a few things I need you to hear clearly. This video is designed to help you recognize warning signs and act fast. It is not a substitute for your doctor. Do not use it to diagnose yourself. If something feels wrong in your body, don't open Google. Open your phone and call for help. If you or someone near you is showing stroke symptoms, do not drive to the hospital. Call 911. The paramedics can start evaluating on the way and take you directly to a comprehensive stroke center. The right hospital, not just the closest one. That distinction can change everything. And this is critical. Do not take aspirin if you suspect a stroke. If the stroke is hemorrhagic, caused by bleeding in the brain, aspirin thins the blood and makes the bleeding worse. Let the doctors determine the type first. Finally, if you have high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, atrial fibrillation, or if you're carrying extra weight, please schedule an appointment with your doctor. Not next month, this week. Prevention is always easier than recovery. You've spent 20 minutes learning how to recognize a stroke. Now spend 5 minutes making the call that keeps it from happening. The next 3 years are still yours to shape. Your body after 60 is not the same body you had at 40. It forgives less. It accumulates more. The plaque builds a little thicker each year. The blood pressure creeps a little higher. The warning signs get a little quieter, not because they stop, but because you've gotten used to them. But here's the truth that keeps me hopeful after 20 years of practicing medicine. The human body, even at 70, even at 80, still responds. Lower your blood pressure and your stroke risk drops within months. Move your body 30 minutes a day and your arteries begin to open. Catch a T, IA early, and a major stroke never happens. 3 years from now, you will be living in the body your choices are building today. Make them count. My name is Dr. Thomas. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching. And here's to living life on your own terms.